Krish 4, the 700 crore gamble that could redefine Indian superhero cinema or break it completely. The Indian superhero universe is buzzing again, and at the center of it all stands Krish for Rub. After years of speculation, teasers, and mysterious leaks, Krish 4 Haas is officially in the works with a jaw-dropping estimated budget of 700 crores. Yes, you heard that right. From Arshi 40 crores in Krish 2006 to Arsh 95 crores in Krish 3 2013. This massive leap is either Bollywood's most ambitious swing or its most expensive misfire. Let's talk about why this movie is both incredibly promising and dangerously risky. The return of Doctor Aryan and time travel. For those who remember Krish 3 Origin, Doctor Aryan was the man behind the mutations, the genetic manipulations, and a good chunk of the chaos. Rumors suggest that he's returning in Krish 4, but this time things are different. We're talking time travel, alternate realities, and possibly even two Krishs, the original and a darker, twisted version. Think multiverse of madness, but with Hrithik Roshan doing triple flips in slow motion. This setup opens the door for something Indian cinema hasn't truly nailed yet. A sci-fi superhero epic that spans timelines and dimensions. But here's the catch. Narrative complexity needs visual consistency and emotional grounding. That's where the challenge begins. Why the R700 crore budget is a double-edged sword. A R700 crore budget is a historic high bar for any Indian film, putting Krish Fortras on par with Hollywood mega projects. But here's where things get tricky. In India, the moment a film is labeled high budget, the pressure shifts. Filmmakers often try to do everything in one movie. Emotion, action, VFX, love story, dance numbers, social messaging, and even a patriotic montage or two. The result? A visual overload with narrative confusion. We've seen this before. Movies like Raavan promised a new era of VFX but stumbled in execution. Bhavesh Joshi had heart and realism but didn't connect commercially. And Flying Jet. Let's just say we all pretended that didn't happen. The audience isn't stingy about superhero films. They're skeptical, and rightly so. Every time Bollywood has tried to build a superhero, they've either overdone the spectacle or undercooked the soul. Studio shooting versus real locations. Why authenticity matters. One of the biggest differences between Krish and Krish 3 Son was the authenticity of visuals. In Krish, many action sequences were shot on real locations, and it showed. The gravity, the sweat, the danger, everything felt real. Rati Agnihotri literally hung from buildings. The sun hit skin. Dust flew. The hero bled. In Krish 3's, despite the polished VFX, everything looked too clean. Civilians looked like they had just walked out of a shampoo ad. Emotions felt rehearsed. Scenes felt staged. A lot of it came down to the over-reliance on green screens. Instead of going out into real streets and gritty locations, the team stayed in studios. The result? Visually pleasing but emotionally detached scenes. And this is where Krish Fort can either rise or fall. If executed well, this can be the emotional and philosophical core of the film. Imagine a scene where the hero fights not just his enemy but himself. His doubts, his darkness, his rage. It could be the most powerful arc the franchise has ever delivered, but again, only if the writing holds up. The audience expectations and the Indian superhero crisis. Let's be honest. Indian audiences want superheroes, but not half-baked ones. We grew up on Shaktiman, we respect Mr. India, and we admire the effort in Bhavesh Joshi. But we demand believability, consistency, and emotional depth. The days of just showing a flying man in spandex and expecting applause are over. Our 700 crore film has to deliver more than just VFX spectacle. Once, Krish 4, the R700 crore dilemma. How VFX, time travel, and storytelling could make or break the superhero epic. The superhero genre in Bollywood is on the cusp of something extraordinary. After almost a decade of waiting, Krish Fortras is poised to launch a new chapter in Indian cinema with an eye-popping R700 crores budget. But here's the thing. While the enormous budget promises a spectacle of unmatched proportions, there's a growing fear that too much reliance on VFX and CGI could drown out the soul of the film. With Hrithik Roshan's ambitious plans for the franchise, fans are excited yet cautiously skeptical. The question remains, can Krish 4 balance the scale of technology and magic with a compelling story that resonates with audiences? Let's dive deep into this 700 crore gamble and what could make or break the movie. On the time travel dilemma, a fine line between genius and confusion. Time travel is one of the most difficult concepts to execute in cinema. Think about how many movies have attempted time travel. Some, like Avengers Endgame, have succeeded by carefully balancing the rules of time with emotional payoff. Others, like The Flash 2023, struggled with continuity and logic, leaving audiences scratching their heads. For Krish 4 time travel is not just a gimmick, it's an integral part of the story. Hrithik's character will now manipulate time itself, with abilities like time manipulation, teleportation, and energy blasts. If the timeline isn't executed correctly, it could lead to a massive plot hole that audiences simply won't forgive. Additionally, the entry of new characters like Jadoo, Doctor Aryan, and Pretty Zinda Rohit complicates the narrative even further. With such an expanded universe, there's a risk that the Punch's story could feel overcrowded and disjointed. Every new power, every new character, and every new timeline must be seamlessly integrated into the world. If the audience feels like the time travel element is being used as a crutch to explain everything away, the emotional stakes will be lost. Hrithik has spoken about using CGI to show magic, and we all know CGI can achieve effects that were previously unimaginable. But there's a critical balance between scientific magic and ancient technology. While CGI magic can look spectacular, it also has a tendency to be overwhelming. When Hrithik says they plan to showcase magic using CGI, there's a valid concern that this will end up looking too fake. The beauty of a film like Krish was that it blended the magical with the believable. The world felt real, even as Krish flew through the sky or faced off against villains with superpowers. But if magic is presented entirely through digital effects, it might lose the charm that made the character so engaging in the first place. Thus, the crucial task is to use CGI sparingly, alongside real locations and practical effects. This approach has worked for films like The Matrix and Lord of the Rings, where the blend of practical stunts and CGI made the impossible seem tangible. Short pause. The heart of the film, storytelling. Ultimately, no matter how much money or technology is poured into Krish 4, the story will make or break it. The movie's emotional core needs to resonate with the audience just like the first Krish did. It wasn't just about flashy visuals. It was about Krish's journey, his sacrifices, and his growth as a superhero and as a person. The film must engage audiences emotionally, and for that, the writing has to be sharp, cohesive, and heartfelt. And with Hrithik taking the helm, fans can only hope that the story remains authentic, despite the grandiose scale of the film. Here's final thoughts. A thrilling ride or an expensive mistake? Krish 4 has all the ingredients to be a landmark film in Indian cinema. A massive budget, cutting-edge VFX, a star-studded cast, and a storyline that could expand the Krish universe in bold ways. But with great power comes great responsibility. If the filmmakers can strike a perfect balance between technology, storytelling, and practical effects, Krish 4 could be the superhero film that not only elevates Indian cinema, but also puts it on the global map. If they fail to do so, however, it could become a cautionary tale about how even 1,700 crores can't save a disjointed narrative. For now, the Krish 4 sorties hype train is rolling full speed ahead, but as fans, we'll be holding our breath, hoping it soars rather than crashes. Krish 4 Why the real superpower is a killer villain and a strong story, a bold new vision. The Krish franchise has been one of the most iconic and groundbreaking superhero series in Indian cinema, but with Krish 14, the stakes have never been higher. The expectations, astronomical. After a decade of superhero films, the audience has evolved. They've seen Marvel movies, DC films, and countless other cinematic universes. They're no longer content with just flashy action sequences or cool VFX. They demand a story that hits hard, and villain that makes you think, and stakes that feel real. 1. The superhero genre has evolved. A story is key. Let's start with what will make or break Krish. For the story. Superhero films have moved beyond simple origin stories and epic battles. Today's audiences want more. They want depth, complexity, and themes that resonate beyond the screen. The age of light-hearted, campy superheroes is over. Look at The Dark Knight. It was more than just Batman fighting bad guys. It was a deep philosophical exploration of good versus evil, chaos versus order. Similarly, Krish 4 May cannot just be about Krish saving the world. This time, the audience wants the emotional stakes to match the visual stakes. We want to feel the struggle of the character, not just watch him leap across buildings. The plot needs to be tightly woven, with every moment serving a greater purpose. If there's anything Krish 4B has to get right, it's that the story must be layered, offering not just action but meaning. But there's something that's just as important as the story, something that could elevate the narrative to unforgettable heights. 2. The villain, the key to Krish's superpower. Here's the thing. The value of a superhero is defined by their villain. Think about it. Without a formidable opponent, no hero truly stands out. No matter how powerful a superhero is, if the villain doesn't match or surpass their abilities, the stakes feel fake. In Krish 4 Foes, it's clear that the villain is the cornerstone of the entire film. If Krish is to reach new heights, his adversary must be capable of making the audience question everything. Now let's talk about what's being rumored. The antagonist can control time, us. Imagine a villain who doesn't just fight Krish physically, but also messes with his past, changes timelines, and attempts to erase Krish's existence altogether. This villain won't just be a brute force, they will be a mastermind. Someone who manipulates time itself to get the better of Krish. Think of the ultimate chess match, with every move meticulously planned to dismantle Krish piece by piece. And let's not forget the emotional stakes. What if this villain was powerful enough to kill Krish's mother? Imagine the deep emotional toll that would have on Krish, pushing him to his absolute limits. When Krish is beaten down, it should be one of the most visceral experiences in cinema. We should feel his pain. And then the payoff, the comeback. When Krish rises again, it should be a moment of pure triumph. One that will have audiences cheering, shouting, and whistling in the theater. This isn't just a hero's return. This is revenge. This is justice. This is a moment of catharsis. 3. The Dark Krish, the ultimate showdown. Here's where things get mind-blowing. Rumors have been swirling that Krish 4 Pawn might feature 2 Krishs. One our classic hero and another a darker, twisted version. Now imagine this. Krish versus Dark Krish in the final showdown. 2 versions of Krish, one fighting for the greater good and the other perhaps for personal vengeance or misguided ideals. The atmosphere will be absolutely electric. But here's the twist. Dark Krish doesn't have to be played by Hrithik Roshan. Yes, you heard that right. What if someone else takes on the role of Dark Krish? Picture this. Ajay Devgan. Or another actor stepping into the role of a darker, more sinister version of Krish. The dynamic between the 2 Krishs could elevate the stakes to a level we've never seen before. The contrasting personalities, light versus dark, good versus evil, would add depth and gravity to the entire conflict. Conclusion: the ultimate gamble. Krish 4 is a gamble, one that could either redefine superhero cinema in India or fail spectacularly. But if the filmmakers can nail the VFX, build a compelling story, and deliver a villain who's as terrifying and captivating as Krish himself, it has the potential to be something extraordinary. A movie so intense that the audience will think about it long after they leave the theater, questioning the very nature of heroism and villainy. This would be one of the most exciting and unpredictable elements in Indian cinema, taking Krish 4 Horse into uncharted territory. The finale could end in a way that leaves us speechless, craving more.